But no, Beth, York goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marvels. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to CVRcade Racing. I'm Beth York. I'm sitting in for Jesper Anker today, who is usually on the mic for zones K and L, and I'm taking zone T. But today, Jesper had so much fun racing on Saturday that he wanted to get into this Omnium in the afternoon and the evening in the UK. So here I am on the mic. We've got a great Omnium here in the run-up. 4 great races starting on Aquavello. And I just had a little audio in my ear. Let's check in with Jesper. Hey, Jesper.
Hello.
How are you feeling today?
I'm ready. I'm ready to go. We've got a stacked field. I'm equalized, I think. So I've got a chance at doing something. Name of the game, help out where I can. Just don't get last on Summit Islands. We'll see.
Well, you know, this is the Summit Island redo. We'll talk about that. We've got Aquavello, the low skill event, 10 laps, uncrashable, corner caper, quantum shift with 1 comeback kid. You've commented on a number of times of this racing. How do you think you're going to play that strategy today?
You look at Peter, you look at Ben, you look at Timothy, and you just pray that you go when they go, and that their slipstream kind of follows you, and you just go, take me, guys, take me to the promised land. It's pretty much it.
Well, you know, we do have in the pen a stacked field, as you mentioned it, and you did happen to mention Peter's name. I see you're wearing the Velocity kit. I can't quite tell with his fantastical avatar.
Peter joined Vixen too.
That's what the roster is telling me. So today you might want to you have some really strong cooperation in there in Velocity. So I was hoping that it would be a road course. You'd be able to see his kit and you'd just be able to react to it. But
I can tell you this: 5th through 12th place is secured. Everybody else go home. We've got it.
What do you have to say about that, Peter? Oh, I don't think I hear Peter. There he is.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Beth?
I can hear you now, Peter. I can. Sure can.
Oh, the surprise is no longer a surprise, I think.
No longer. I let it out of the bag just so you guys could work together. Your kit's not on full display.
What?
Teamwork.
It'll be great. Yeah, I'd love to work with Jesper.
Well, we will talk a little bit.
So, yeah, it's great to be on the team.
Yes, well, welcome. I'm sure the teammates are going to be so excited to have you on Team Velocity, one of the strongest riders out on course. The Team CCC, we did have a number of changes, but speaking of changes, we also have Jennifer in the mix here, Jennifer Garcia, who's going to be teaming up with Timothy Tremont. Hey, Jennifer, welcome to the broadcast. Just over 30 seconds.
Hi, yeah, I'm excited. Getting warmed up and ready to go, so we'll see what happens.
Well, I will come back to you. Just about 20 seconds to go. Jennifer Garcia working with Timothy Tremont on Tuesday's racing. He was wearing the Pink Panther kit. He's gone as the Team Sarcastic. There's Tim Fulford. He's warming up. Just 10 seconds to go here. Tim Fulford, Team Cycling Hub has 3 racers in this race, so they're looking pretty strong in this race. They've got Quinton Milanese, Tim Fulford, and I did think I saw Casey in the pen, and I think I I also saw Chris Pritchard, if he's racing representing Pink Panthers or if he's representing Cycling Hub today. I'm not sure at the moment here, but Tim, you can see those legs moving. The group here out in the front, Thomas T on the front, Jennifer on his wheel. There he is, Ben Schulion, also the former CCC rider who now has moved over to be, I don't know where he's going. He'll have to tell me after the race, but I think that Ben Schulion, Jennifer have worked together before. Homer Thompson, also CCC rider that's now Team Cognition. So we've seen a number of roster changes over. Crucible, CCC and Velocity has not merged. As I said, Homer did go over to Team Cognition, but as the rosters move around, I think people are kind of getting ready for the team league that we expect to be happening. Some warm-up races next week. More is going to be announced on that. Jesper sitting in the draft here on camera, looking pretty calm, looking pretty cool. Once you kind of get in that group, you just want to stay tucked into the draft. You want to stay protected and be able to save it. We have 2 kilometers to go on this 10 laps of Aquavello. Again, the abilities that are on display are uncrashable, corner caper, and quantum shift. That's why you see the riders. The quantum shift has an ability. They're phasing through each other. Kind of someone floats up to the front, puts their nose in the wind, and you're having to make that adjustment. But they're benefiting from 60-70% draft. So if you make that front group, you have no worries. And it usually comes down to the execution at the end, the timing of the sprint, how you play your comeback kit, if you can even use it, if you find yourself in the position to use it. Teamwork can come into play here too, where one team, Jennifer is the master on these lower skill events, which are not low skill. We just don't crash in them for some reason. But she will work with her teammates where one will go off the front. And then they'll figure out how to use their comeback kids to their advantage. If you're just watching, joining us on the Mixer chat, yes, it does. CVRcade World Cup does say Jesper in the Velocity kit. He's riding as a guest rider. I know that we really appreciate him. He got sent that kit, and I think he's a guest rider today. 0.8 kilometers to go. Nigel on the front of the pack, Team Velocity. Speaking of which, Sebastian also there in second position. Ooh, and a comeback kid coming around. Nigel in the front, Sebastian, Jennifer. Now we're going to be mixing up. It's going to be so tight. 0.6 kilometers to go. This is when it all comes down. I mean, watching the power. Who's going to make the break? Jennifer, 650 equalized watts on the front. Her nose is in the wind. She's feeling it. Nigel overtakes her. Sebastian floats to the front. 0.4 kilometers to go. Who is it going to be in the sprint? Just 0.3 kilometers to go. Ben C takes the front. Nigel on the front, dancing around here. I'm going to watch closely. You need to watch closely too. Who are you rooting for? 0.2. Peter Kastrup on the front. Will it be Peter Kastrup? Will it be his former teammate Ben Chillian? Will it be Jesper, Allison? And it's Ben, Jesper, Tim. I believe that's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to have to take a look closely at that leaderboard. A photo finish there for the racing here. You can see on board with Jesper, a nice smile, looking calm, cool, and collected on the replay here. But it does come down to the end, and it was Jesper who took that race. It was Jesper, followed by Ben, then Allison. That's what the leaderboard is telling me. Here's the replay side by side. Jennifer and Tim here in the peloton here, kind of gearing up, getting in position, figuring out when they're going to go. And it turns out first race back on the finish, Jesper does come out of it. There was some last minute positioning changes. Peter was on the front. Nigel was on the front. Jennifer was the first to go. Tim up out of the saddle. But in the end, it was Jesper. Jesper, how are you feeling about that finish?
I'm done. I'm out of here. Thank you. See you all next year. 2020. Done.
You know, I know how you feel when you take that first race, because now there's a lot of pressure, right? You're just coming out of Cade cadet status. You're equalized. You're coming into Dark Matter Spire. You haven't raced this a bit. You've got Ben and Allison nipping at your heels. Tim, Peter, Casey further on down. Man, how are you feeling coming in with that mix?
Oh, it's good. No, the reason I won the last race, like Saturday when I raced first time back, I hit 1100 watts for the first time ever. That sprint, I did just over 1200. Biggest I've ever done. Came at the right time. Ben, he's going to be good on this track. Allison's going to be good, but that was only a one-time scoring multiplier. This is going to be the one where it all starts getting to show who's going to win and who's just not.
Well, I feel good about this. A dark matter spire, 2 times multiplier, 1 quantum shift, 1 uncrashable, 2 weight lifted, and 2 wind at your back. So with those in mind, any strategies that you might be deploying, working with your teammate there? You've got Nigel in the pen. You've got Peter in the pen.
Hang on to dear life. You've heard Nigel say this. You've heard Ben say this when they were on CCC. There's going to be a split. And when that split happens, you want to be with the front. So honestly, just keep your head above, look up, look ahead, and just don't get dropped. Now, that's very easy to say, but to execute it is just that's where the best are.
I really love how, usually I'm sitting where you're sitting on a bike and you're talking to me and you're saying, what do you think, Beth? Come on, you can do it. I love that you're wearing velocity, by the way. Yes, Mixer Chat, it is my team. So there is a friendship and an alliance here in today's racing. But when you get on course, you start to dial it back a little bit, Jesper. You start to say, wait a minute, it's one thing to say, it's another thing to execute. But I know you can do it. All right, let's check in with Ben. Second place on that first race. Ben and Julian, good luck. Congratulations, Jesper. Ben, how are you feeling coming into Dark Matter Spire?
Yeah, feeling good. Quite pleased with the second place. Obviously, I wasn't even sure where I came there, so super pleased. And yeah, the legs feel okay. I guess this will be the first proper test. A bit of a longer race.
You tend to do very well on these. You tend to do very well in these larger, longer races, Ben. Any tactics that you can share here? Are you working with Jennifer again today?
Yeah. So I'll be working with Jennifer and Tim and anybody else who would like to work with me.
That's the spirit.
But I guess this is a sort of a power track. There aren't really any dangerous corners or anything, so it's either about putting in some good attacks, or keeping a sustained effort to keep that gap or to grow a gap. I think on this track, that's sort of what it's going to be about. So we'll see.
Well, good luck to you, Ben. Good luck to Jennifer. Let's check in with Team Cycling Hub. Team Cycling Hub, Tim Fulford or Quentin Molnase, either one who's willing to have a few words here. You guys, hey, Tim, you guys have been the fiercest, most dominating team. You must be pretty excited about the team league starting next week. Talk to me a little bit about what this feeling in the Cycling Hub camp is. Oh. I am not hearing Tim's audio. That's okay. There it is. That's okay. Yes, I can.
Business as usual is what I said. We won't be communicating during races. We will ride as a team where necessary, but we're confident with what we can do. We'll just carry on as always, really. Some nice sharpeners, trying some different things. Maybe might send someone off the front. We'll just see how it goes. But yeah, we're happy with our ability at the moment, and it's great that other teams are coming up to it.
Well, good luck to you, Tim. Good luck to Quentin. Just about a minute left to go before the racing starts. I'm going to just read here a little bit from Tay Fearless says, go Jesper. So I just want to make sure I relay that message here. If you have any questions about the broadcast, about the racing that you're seeing, drop it into chat. We do have our mods in there filling in, but it looks like DK Masuni says, go Jesper. Can you do a breakdown of the kits? I think that we'll talk a little bit about that as we go. It's easier to see the kits on the road cycles, although they are wearing the kits in the game here. And I do see Beth can talk fast. Yes, that's one of my skills. I'll just have another caffeinated beverage here. All right, just under 30 seconds to go. We have Team Cycling Hub. We have Team Velocity. We have Sebastian in there from Cognition. We have Kinjal in there. Welcome to the broadcast, Kinjal. 9 seconds to go. Dark Matter Spire, 5 laps, 1 quantum shift, 1 uncrashable, 2 weightlifts, 2 wind at your back, and out they go. Jesper up out of the saddle, puts in a little dig off the front. And as you heard from Jesper, he said you cannot lose the front. But Timothy Tremont also in this race, but goes down. The hand over the face, the shame. I'm not sure if he changed lanes or what he did there. Let's see the replay. Oh, we might not have the replay. And Jennifer goes down so fast out of the gate. Whoa, Crashapalooza was unexpected. But what that does is it puts Casey on the front with Sebastian. Here it is. He has the power up. I think he just took too much speed in the corner. So, yep, he did. So what happens? Oh, he took the power up combination, and the power up combination was just too much and took him off the front. That first corner, that's one maneuver that these racers have used. This is a power course, as Ben Choulian did say, and a lot of times on the technical courses, you'll see racers use those power-ups out of the gate to try to pressure the people behind them to respond, react, and make mistakes. But it looks like Jesper was on the front and made just overpowered that corner. Right now, that opens the door for Quinton, that currently has a 3-second lead. You can see here on board with Tim, with the group here, trying to, Quinton on the front. You just saw Tim trying to close up that gap, or maybe he's trying to control the group. What we've seen in the past is Tim goes off the front, and maybe Quinton or Niels Heldman or one of the other teammates will stay back with the pack and try to control that pace. But Quinton, 354 equalized watts. He's doing a 37 kph right now. Quite a speed differential to the chase group. You can see Quinton, if you look in the nearby riders list, I can see him doing 37, 38 kph on the climb while the others are doing 33. So that is how he just went from 5-second leads to a 10-second lead. So he used that climb. He didn't even have to put in that much of an attack. So I think back in the pack that they were just letting him go, or were they caught sleeping? I don't know. Back on board here, side by side with Quinton and Jesper here. Jesper, the high cadence rider there, digging in. I hope he has some good tunes, because I'm sure he gets tired of hearing my voice. But representing Team Velocity, well done. It does look like Ryan might also be in there. I do see Ryan in the race here. It does look like Ryan is also racing. So Jesper and Ryan can maybe get something together here with Peter. Further on down the pack here, as we are on board with Jesper, who's absolutely putting on the hurt, trying to close down that gap, trying to get to Quinton, saying, I can do it. 12 seconds up out of the saddle. Never say die, Jesper. It's now or never. This is where you put it in. This is where the game, you're going to prove to the game the rider you are. Go get it, Jesper here. We have 9.8 kilometers to go here on this dark matter spire. Now, if you're just tuning into our broadcast, this is one of our fantastical, we have fantasy themes, we have road bike themes, we have mountain bike themes, and this one is one of the ones that the bikes are a more high tech, a tech cycle. Here we are back on board with Ben Choulian side by side here, trying to get around. Ooh, is that a little bit of a block? I'm not sure if Sebastian just did put a block on him to slow him down, but Casey also trying to get back up to Quinton. Allison also there in that group. So we've got Allison, Casey, Sebastian, Jesper, Ben, and Ryan. Quite a group here on the chase. Timothy is also in the pack. Chris Pritchard's in the pack, and Tim Fulford. So Quinton on the front by about 8 seconds, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders in the chase pack. So these guys can work together and try to close that down here. Looks like a little bit of a gap happening between Casey and Ben, just opening it up just by a second or two. So we'll see if these two riders get matched up, but they are stretching it out. They are pushing the pace. They're saying you can try to sit back and control the pace, but I am not going to. I'm going to just keep on working here. Jesper, just on the tail end of that, he can see he wants to close that gap down. This is when you feel it, Jesper. This is when you're like, just get closer to the wheel in front of you, but don't bump them because you don't want to slow down. Right now, let's see, anything. Hello, DJ. Hey, welcome back to the broadcast. Happy to have you here on CVRcade World Cup Racing. DK Musini is saying, go Jesper, go Jesper, go. So look at this, Quinton up out of the saddle, Ben on the chase here. Ben doing 553 equalized watts, Quinton 500 equalized watts. You can see the speed differential from the front of the pack, 42 kph, and then down to Ben currently doing 37. So if he's going to want to close that down, he needs to pick it up a little bit. But on the move, coming around Ben, are the Team Cycling Hub in force. Timothy Termont, Tim Fulford. Timothy Tremont is, I call them the sarcastic pink sloths. That's their name today until they come back with a better name. So Timothy, you're the sarcastic pink sloths. I don't know why I picked something so difficult to say, but that's just what I'm saying here. So if you're just joining the broadcast, welcome. You're watching CVRcade World Cup Racing. This is the second race of the Omnium of 4 races. And back on board here with Tim, who is he's with Allison. He's within 10 seconds of Quinton, his teammate that's on the front of the race here. He made a break really early out of the gate. Jesper made a strong, bold move, a little too much overpowered into the corner, had a rough crash, gave Quinton a chance to get away, and everyone else sat back and let him go and hung out in the pack here. Little bit of a break between Quinton, 10 seconds back is Allison, Chris Pritchard, Tim Fulford there that you see on screen, Ryan as well are all in that chase pack. Ben's still in there. Sebastian dropped a little bit further back. Nigel and Jesper looks like they're working together further on down the pack. So the racing has split up a little bit, and that's typical because this course has that climb right in the middle. If you look on the bottom of the screen there next to the scoreboard, you can see the profile. So that climb, gosh, I think it's at the highest, it's 4%, if I remember correctly. So at that climb there, that's a real opportunity that if you're not watching the speed differentials, the gap can open up really quick. So you do need to put a little bit of a throttle on when you know the others are climbing in front of you and try to break that gap up a little bit. So as the people in front of you are climbing, you're trying to sprint out and and close that gap while you have more speed. And then when they come over the top, hopefully they don't get more of a gap on you here. All right, here, qualification needed to enter. Hey, for card chips, you don't need to qualify to enter. You just need to be able to, ride a bike and come in. I mean, you can play on a keyboard as well. You can play these races on a keyboard and join in. Oftentimes, our racers from around the globe that might have tired legs pop in on keyboard and do these races and have fun with us here. But download CVRcade at CVRcade.com. Get into the game. If you do want to make the leap, we also have some equipment suggestions for you, and you can get it right there on the website if you're ready to get the equipment going to have your bike engaged with the game. So right now in this chase group, Quinton here on the front, you can see Quinton. You can see the scoreboard there. He's at the top of the scoreboard. Quinton number 1. If we finish in these positions, Quinton will certainly be on top. The Tim Fulford, Timothy, Allison, Ben, Jesper, those are going to shake up a little bit depending on the finishing positions, because right now they're all in a pretty grupo compacto trying to hunt them down. And I'm surprised because with that number of racers, maybe Tim and Casey are just not letting Timothy and Allison and Ben and Ryan get around him to go get to Quinton, because if these guys got organized, they could chase him down. Tim's not going to chase down Quinton. That's his teammate up there. So I think back in the pack here, it's just been maybe Casey and Tim trying to control the pace a little bit, but we'll see what happens here. If it comes down, the sprint will come down to second unless someone does something here to make up that gap. And it does look like Casey's within 5 seconds of his teammate, but Timothy has to stay on his wheel to be able to also get there. 5.8 kilometers to go. Casey, a teammate of Quinton in the front, drops a power up there. As you can see it, the wind at his back to kind of close the gap and be able to offer maybe a little shelter, because they know that the rest are coming. So now if they can't hold the chase pack back and that gap is closing and they can't control that pace anymore, they're going to go up with their teammate and then they're going to work together on the front and see if they can't shake Ryan, if they can't shake Timothy Tremont, if they can't shake Ben. Looks like Ben, Chris, and Allison are opening up a 2 or 3 second gap here behind Tim Fulford here, who's looking pretty comfortable, looking really strong, one of the strongest riders, top winner on CVRcade in the previous race with Quinton Molinez here. So these guys know how to race. Casey now in the front, but side by side here, Ben and Quinton on your screen. Ben on the left-hand side in the yellow tech cycle just changes a lane to the inside. He knows he just wants to avoid that corner speed there. He can go through it faster if he's on the inside here, and he overtakes Tim Fulford, but Casey is still up at the front. He did not want to get behind Tim, who could play some games with him, so he came out around, put himself out in the wind, so there's no shelter for Ben, none at all. He has to push the pace because Tim is not going to work with him when he has two of his teammates up the front. One of the things that you can see on this course is that there is some wind out on course. The riders have, they do feel that wind, so they have to position themselves not just behind the rider when they're taking on right now Ben almost in a direct headwind here out in the front, feeling it on his legs, feeling it on his smart trainer. So he is going to for sure be feeling it at the end of this race and carrying it into the next bit of racing. So right now we are in the second race of a 4-race Omnium on CVRcade Run Up Racing. We are on Dark Matter Velo, one of the fantasy courses. Here we are on board with Tim. Looks like he's making a little bit of a move, has a wind at his back, power up, takes off the front, power combination, weight lifted, and his speed. Look at that, 62, 63 kph. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was waiting here, and followed by Ryan, also does the power ups. And then, and then Ben says, okay, I'll answer that. I see what you're doing here. So the combination of the weight lifted, the wind at your back, makes you lighter, makes you get that push from behind here. Now, what Ben has to be careful here when he comes around is if he's going to use that momentum, he has to make sure he has a clear lane. So as he comes up, he's watching the riders in front of him, wanting to make sure that these riders do not slow him down, because he still has 47 kph, which is a couple kph faster than the riders in front of him. So that way he can close it down and stay with that break. But Tim now in the front position. Ben, never say die. The effort is awesome. But Tim did initiate that move. He was taking cover from Ben, riding protected, while Ben was out in the nose, because Ben did not want to be behind Tim. And then Tim took the lead out from Ben and actually used that shelter and then dropped the combination of power-ups. But it does look like Ben is back on with Ryan. So maybe Ryan and Ben should be working together here. Neither of them have any other riders here in the front. You've got Casey, Tim, Quinton. I think Ben and Ryan need to be need to buddy up here and work together and see if they can't unseed. Like last Tuesday, Cycling Hub was dominant in the Omniums, just, and all these other teams are coming up on skills. They have the strength, they have the smarts, they're working on the organization. But right now in this front group, you can see there Ben up out of the saddle, digging in, saying, I am not going to lose this train, but it's a dangerous place for him to be. 2.7 kilometers to go, lone man with Casey, Tim, and Quinton. So what he needs to do is he needs to get as much draft as he can, but he has to watch for the block. And that will come for sure. And it might not be an overt block. You might not be able to see it. They might not do it because they know they have 3 and they could just kind of roll off the front and trade poles and make a break pretty cleanly away from one rider. So they don't need to do the protective defensive racing. They can actually do the offensive racing and actually just the 3 of them come off the front. But Ryan has closed in the gap. Quinton is forced to work a little bit. Casey's on the front. 192 for Casey's equalized heart rate here. You can see on the right-hand side, that's the physiological, the cost of his effort. 192, 200 is the maxed heart rate that the game can read. So sometimes with a new rider where the racer hasn't been riding, you'll see like 202 or something a little bit over 200. But once the game has knows you as a racer, knows what your max heart rate is, it normalizes that to 200, so everybody can see what your equalized heart rate. But wait, Quinton up out of the saddle, 900 equalized watts, drops the power up, makes a move, chasing Casey. Casey does his power up. The 2 of these guys are working together beautifully on the front. That's the offensive move right there. And Tim is slowing it down a little bit, 32. And these guys, I think, were just prey. And you can see the smile on Quinton's face here. He and Casey were well coordinated out of the front, and everyone else just sitting behind on Tim's wheel at 32 kph. And that might be the race. That 10 seconds is not going to be made up with 1.4 kilometers to go. That is how you play it there. Back on board with Ben. Ben still working pretty hard there. Does look like he had a dropout on his heart rate monitor. Tim, 180 equalized watts, but right now it's Ben. You can see there Quentin on the front with Casey. And then further on back, Ben trying to get around Tim, trying to maybe make a move. But he knows at this point he's got to conserve a little bit because he's not going to make up that 10-second gap. That door has closed. Quentin and Casey off the front with 0.9 kilometers to go. Another power up by Quentin there. Quantum shifts through Casey, takes the lead out, puts in a dig. Just for fun, it looks like another power up combination, wind at your back, as well as the quantum shift. So he was able to phase through. Casey on his wheel. Ben, it does look like, did also use his power up to try to come back up here, maybe to see if he can make it up. But I think that he just wanted to stay in front of Tim. He just wanted to be sure. But there you can see Casey coming around. These guys, I think, are just having fun with their power ups, trading leads here, phasing through each other, using the uncrashable on the final corner here of Dark Matter Spire, one of the last corners on Dark Matter Spire there on board here with Quentin, looking like yeah, that was a nice move, Tay Fearless, with the quantum shift there. They kind of been trading and coordinating their power-ups. And that's some advanced tactics we're going to see in the team league, is how they divide those power-ups up out of the saddle. Quentin there, Casey still on the front. There's the helicopter view. Casey, Quentin, a little bit further back. Tim made his move and quantum shift past Ben. So that way they're going to work on the Quentin comes across the line, clapping number one. Casey will come in second, and Tim does power through past Ryan, past Ben to get the third position. And as Tim said at the beginning of the broadcast, business as usual. Ben, valiant effort there, coming across the line just after Ryan. Really, the two of those riders did try to dig it in. Further on down, we've got Allison coming across the line. We've got Timothy Termont. Chris Pritchard will also be coming across the line. All fantastic racers. Sebastian Kuhn still coming on through here on the helicopter view, coming across the line with Chris Pritchard and Nigel, the Velocity rider, as well, coming across the line. So there's Peter up out of the saddle here, who has been racing, one of the original members on CVRcade, now a Velocity Vixen rider, coming in to play the game here. He and Jesper, I'm sure, will be getting organized. They did not know they'd be racing together today as teammates. It was a surprise roster change. But Jesper comes across the line here on Dark Matter Spire. So that is the racing. Well done to all the racers here. A little bit of the replay here back on the helicopter view earlier. So we did see some shakeups at the front. We saw some coordinated power-up combinations between Quentin Molinez coming through with Quantum Shift, and then Casey comes through as well. But what really sealed the deal, because Ben and Ryan did fight down and make that connection, Tim set the pace while Quentin and Casey coordinated an attack off the front. They were getting up to 62 kph, and that last lap there was what made the difference, what sealed the deal with 1.4 kilometers to go. That basically guaranteed enough separation with 1.4 kilometers to go that Quentin and Casey could dump a few power-ups at the end and just have fun with it. You can see there Quentin celebrating, clapping, hands on the win. And Quentin, that looked good. Did it feel good? How are you doing?
It hurt a lot. Props to Casey and Tim to let me go off the front in the first lap. I would have expected someone to try and join me, but I guess they just did such a terrific job that nobody could. But it was tough at the front. It was not the plan to go off solo, because it's a long race, and I felt that.
Well, you did go off early. It did look like at the beginning there, Tim wasn't necessarily, or Casey wasn't necessarily holding the pace down. They let you go, but then they got to a point, I think, where they saw the chase group could have closed on you, and they came to make sure you were protected. So talk to me about those coordinated attacks on that last lap on the climb, the combination of you and Casey, because you're not on comms. How did you coordinate that?
I think it was just a matter of Casey trying to kill me and I'm trying to kill Casey. I thought that Casey didn't have a power-up left when I used my second set of power-ups. But he showed me that he still did. And it was only because Casey decided to hand off the win that I could overtake him at the finish line, because he had it for real.
Well, it's nice to see you teammates pushing each other here. You can see here on the replay, Jesper on the front of the race here. Jesper, what happened at the beginning of the race? We're just looking at the replay.
Oh, I'm here. There was a plan, there was an idea across teams to try and do something early, to try and just, like Frank in the grand finale was like, somebody's got to take initiative. So across the teams, we're like, we're going to take initiatives. Little did we know that you go so quick in that corner, you all just slide out. So it went from a brilliant plan to probably the worst thing you could do on planet Earth in like the span of a second.
Well, I think it was the right idea. I think that you and Jennifer did have that early crash, but I mean, live and learn. I loved your reaction. You cover your face. It happens.
There's one person to blame. It's Victor Lundqvist.
Yeah?
We all across teams we agreed that Victor is the one to blame for that crash.
All right, sure. Okay. Poor Victor just sitting there, doesn't have a microphone on, or maybe he does. But that was some amazing racing. I'm kind of curious to hear from Ben. Ben, my goodness, you really put in a dig. You made such a valiant effort. You didn't have any teammates in the race. What was going through your mind?
I've just knocked nearly 5 hours of my.
Oh, I think he's in team chat right now, so we will come back to him. We don't want to bother him. We've got this next event starting in just 1 minute and 40 seconds here. Let's check in with Tim, who also was on the front end of that race. Tim, talk me through your strategy there. Business as usual?
I got a bit boxed in on the first lap, but I was 5 laps long, so it's a long one. Got back up. And like Ryan and Ben just wanted to sit on my wheel at 200 equalized, which I think is what set the winning move up. So so great at Cycling Hub that we've got lots of weapons. Ben and Ryan had to cover 3 of us, and luckily we got 2 of them up the road. So great effort to Ben and Ryan, because that was some proper attacks we were throwing down there, but too many balls to juggle in the end.
Well, congratulations to Team Cycling Hub on really fun to watch. I was a little bit curious why they were not doing anything, but under a minute to go, just over 30 seconds. Barnyard Velo, 2 quantum shifts, 12 laps. So this is one of our newer tracks out on course here. Peter, I'll check in with you after the racing here. Just under 30 seconds to go. I want you to save your breath there and not try to do anything here. I don't know why my avatar is still floating around. I'm trying to stop it. 10 seconds to go. I don't want to be riding on this course by keyboard and mess anybody up. I have stopped. 8 seconds to go. Good luck, Peter. Team Velocity, represent newest rider. 3, 2, 1. Quinton up out of the saddle, dropping that power right as we go here. But we go to the front of the race, and it is going to be carnage out of the gate because of all of the obstacles in CVR. Whoa! Boom, 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 boom. Chris goes down. Tim goes down. Jennifer goes down. Homer goes down. Lots of crashes, but who makes it through? Timothy Termont and Quinton Molinez here on board here with Ben. Ben made it through. Casey made it through. These racers here, I don't know. I haven't yet. Ben goes down. So, Quinton goes down. I haven't yet raced on Barnyard Velo. I have practiced it in a track and a class. I have tried to test it out. And with all of these racers, it is one that you need to know every lane change. It's super short. Has lots of obstacles, and as people are crashing and wiping out and respawning, the congestion, it makes it pretty tricky. But excuse me. Timothy on the front, one of our highest skills technical racers. You would expect him to do well on this course. On board here with Jesper, who's also righted himself here. We have him working hard there in second place behind Timothy by a little bit. But did I give him the commentator's curse? Dang it. Sorry, man. I don't want to, I see you on screen. I want to say your name, but I don't want you to crash. I don't want anyone to crash. Racers do have to avoid these hay bales and each other out on course in the congestion. You're going so fast. You're coming around the corner. If you're not practiced on this track, those hay bales will sneak up on you fast. You're back on board here with Peter sitting in 4th place, about 30 seconds back from Timothy. Sebastian further down does go down, but Timothy, Casey, Nigel in the front, Peter in 4th. So this is a race with 1.4 kilometers to go. You just keep racing because you don't know who's going to crash. You just keep racing. This is a 2.5 multiplier, so there's a lot of points on the on offer here right now in the leaderboard. We've got Casey on top, Quinton in 2nd, Timothy in 3rd, and that could shake up a little bit based on the finishing position in this race. So Casey right now on the front with Timothy Tremont, helping Timothy get some points, keeping Casey on top, Tim Fulford in 2nd. So the leaderboard is going to shake up a little bit here depending on crashes and finishing, but I feel like I'm going to say something nice about Timothy Tremont, the sarcastic pink sloth, and then I'm going to mess him up and give him the commentator's curse with just 1 kilometer to go. I do not want to do that. But Nigel, I just said your name, Nigel, and you crashed. No, oh my gosh, not doing a good job here with the commentator curse. Barnyard Velo, one of the newest tracks. You have to pick the lane. You have to watch out for the hay bales. It does look like a couple quantum shifts activated with 0.7 kilometers to go. That means you can phase through the riders. But Casey goes down. Tim makes it through, but Casey goes a little too fast in the corner, but Timothy he does maintain that front position. Timothy, 0.5 kilometers to go. This is where he has to be tactical, but he's at the front of the race and he can see in front of him. He's making everyone else respond. Casey's a good 30 seconds back. He doesn't have to he doesn't have to push it. He doesn't have to make a mistake. He just has to stay focused and stay calm. Casey and then Tim in 2nd and 3rd, currently Ryan in 3rd. That could have a little bit of a mix up here with those 3, Casey, Tim, and Ryan, Ben as well in that little pack. That could be it. And we can see there that Timothy, the pink sarcastic sloth, 0.2 kilometers to go, is going to make it across the line with Casey and Tim. Looks like Casey and Tim, they're not going to group up. They don't necessarily need to here, but we're getting a lapped rider here. Timothy Tremont is going to come across the line in the pink, the sarcastic pink sloth, racer number 1 in this technical course. Not a surprise. Now, for 2nd place, we have a cycling hub Casey. We have a cycling hub Tim Fulford. We have a velocity Ryan. We have Ben, who's working with Jennifer. I'm going to call him a pink sarcastic sloth. That's just what I'm going to call him. Tim Fulford with the quantum shift on board here with Ben, because Ben is wearing the pink as well. Tim and Casey both use the quantum shift, the 2 that they had in this race. That's what they had to avoid getting through, being stuck behind a rider with just a little bit to go. Back here's Peter. Now you can see that beautiful velocity kit that he's sporting. I hope it looks good on you, Peter. I hope it feels good, feels fast, getting used to the aerodynamics of the new kit. Casey, Ryan, Ben, and that's how we're going to finish it. We have Casey, Tim takes 2nd, and Quinton right now in 3rd on the leaderboard here. We do have a few more people. Jennifer smiling and laughing in the team chat, I'm sure, having a good time, saying, what is up with this crazy course? So I'm going to give her a chance to finish and not hop on board. Hey, Jesper, still out on course. I'm going to let you finish. But this is a crazy course. It's better now that some of that congestion is out of the way. Come across the line. And that's a fun one. It's a fast one. And so let's take a look at that replay. Here you can see the helicopter view. Timothy, the Pink Panther, has an amazing edge on these technical courses because he knows where the hay bales are. He is like 2 clicks left, 1 click right, 2 clicks left, 1 click right. He has it dialed in, and Timothy comes across the line first. He might have raced that perfectly without a crash. There were so many crashes at the beginning of that race. Tim here comes around the hay bale there, takes the outside lane, trying to get in position to overtake a rider and not use a quantum shift here. You can see Timothy coming up to the rider in front of him. The rider steps out here. So they are able to, use a quantum shift if they need to. But this race track is one of our newer tracks. It's awfully fun to ride. I haven't raced it, so let's get a little perspective there on this course here as we go to Summit Island. Woo! Here's the leaderboard. Let's check in with Tim again. Tim Fulford. You're coming into this race. You're in second place. You've got Casey in front. Summit Island redo 3 laps. Talk to me.
I think Timothy might have got a lap there, like giving him one, because I was looking up and then I only crashed once right at the beginning and he's 30 seconds up. So there's no chasing that down, but blimey, that is carnage. So fun. So fun. Got to keep your eyes and ears everywhere. Got to use your quantum shifts properly. Quantum shifts don't let you go through hay bales. I just learned uncrashable would, but quantum shift wouldn't. Yeah, great race. And look what Summit Islands looks like now. Looks great. So we've got the artists have done some great work on Ben's horrible course. But yeah, great race. Good fun.
Well, congratulations. Team Cycling Hub has 1, 2, 3, but Ben sitting in 5th place on the leaderboard. Ben, the designer of this course. Ben, I'm curious here, with the artist kind of taking your track and redoing it, how does it feel? Does it it has a whole new look? Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, it looks beautiful, and I was able to have a bit of input, in discussion with the person redecorating it, which is nice. And the thing I found though was that I've lost my bearings on the track, and the first time I rode it again, I was crashing all over the place because I just didn't recognise bends like I did before. So I'm guessing those who haven't practiced the new track effectively might find a few surprises. I'm not sure.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because as the track designer, if you're just joining the broadcast, Ben did design this track. This is a course that he built here as we watch the replay. And Ben, I'm glad you had some input. So were you able to be like, put more trees there, or like, I'd like some water here? Because I think it's quite beautiful.
Yeah, it was mainly, for example, the roadway, the support pillars, and then where the track was touching the ground, for example, because it's quite difficult to make your tracks touch the ground using the track editor. So that sort of thing, and then some of the supporting pillars as well. I was like, oh, it'd be nice to have that. So yeah, it was we had a few emails back and forth, and obviously the main thing also is it's changed to a road theme, which I think is more suitable, really. Even in the old incarnation, it was more of a road track. Unfortunately, it was hardwired as being fantastic. So it looks great. So yeah, I look forward to racing it for the first time.
Well, good luck to you. You're sitting in 5th place, 1 minute to go. I was thinking that I would check in with Jennifer really quickly, because as we watched Jennifer finish Barnyard Velo, she had a huge smile on her face. Jennifer, talk to me a little bit about your experience, your first race on Barnyard.
Yeah, I think it was my second, actually. Hold on, let me mute the chat. And it's such a fun one because it's like everyone crashes, and so crashing isn't as like disheartening as it tends to be, because you can crash and totally come back knowing it's really likely. Like you saw even like Tim crashing, like a lot of people out there crashing everywhere. And big shout out to Timothy. That was really, really well played. So I'm glad you pulled that for us.
Yes, well, he is highly skilled. Just under 30 seconds to go. Get back in your team chat. Sorry to bother you so close to the line. 20 seconds, Summit Island. You heard Ben, the track designer. Here we are on board with Peter. We'll watch him come up out of the gate. Talk about losing himself on course. These racers have ridden this course so many times. And then for the creator to lose themselves on course, we'll see who actually went in and gave this a shot there. You can see Tim up out of the saddle here. Ben on the front right now, quantum shift in play. Timothy Termont rides through Ben. I was struggling with the sarcastic pink panthers, but sarcastic pink sloths, rather. I'm sorry, that's what you're getting stuck with today. The two of you guys working together here. I know Jennifer is also riding this team. Coming down the hill to the first bend here on Summit Island redo. We do have the power-ups in play here. 3 laps, 1 inertia, 2 razor's edge, and 2 weight lifted. So 1 inertia. Inertia will, when activated, will make your avatar stay the speed that you were riding at the time that you activated. The weight lifted makes you lighter, 30 kilograms lighter for a short period. Razor's edge makes you more aerodynamic. And it does look like Quinton, Sebastian, Allison are trying to get coordinated, coming around the pink sloths here. Quinton on the front, but Sebastian and Allison, the 2 cognition riders, are getting themselves organized. Team Cognition, Allison Kubota, we know her from the streams. She's always fierce. She knows how to race. This is one of the courses that we always see her do so well. A lot of skill on this track because these corner speeds, if you exceed the corner speeds, you will slide out and crash here. Farford, let's see here. Farford Chip says, good luck, Jesper. And then hyped to see how this plays out. Tay Feelers, thanks again for joining us. I'm just checking in here with the chat to make sure Timothy likes that track. Again, Timothy Tremont, congratulations. And hopefully here, these racers will know where these corner speeds are. They'll be remembering the track with the different decorations. And here's one thing. When you say that, like, it's not that bend gets lost on course with the track, it's that you're remembering, you know, a slight bend to the road. You know, sometimes with some of the tracks, you're like judging when you go to a sprint by like a rock in the road or a tree on the side of the road. So with the visual markers, with the visual cues changing a little bit, it makes the racing dynamics. You do need to learn those racing dynamics ever so much again, because you're like, wait, what part of the road am I on? What bend am I in? Because it does look different. You can see here up the way those road supports, I think that Ben was talking about here, holding up the track here as it goes. This has one of the steepest climbs in CVRcade. These racers, we'll see does look like Allison used her inertia further up the road there. Sebastian, Allison does use the inertia. She adds power herself to come across there, the inertia again, and then followed up with some massive power by Allison, 600 equalized watts there. She is looking strong, up out of the saddle, putting a dig on the climb here. You can see on the mini map below you that the vertical, the ascent, but it gets up to like 11 or 12%, and that is not that is what it feels like to your legs. If you're on the inside of the turn, it feels steeper. If you're on the outside of the turn, you feel that as well. It does look like here we are on board with Quinton and Jennifer here side by side. Quinton and Jennifer a little bit separated in the race, but Quinton is trying to connect with Homer. We did see Sebastian just use a power up there, but it does look like Allison and Sebastian have just put the hurt on Team Cycling Hub here. So it's going to take some doing to get back. One of the philosophies that we've seen with Team Cycling Hub with Tim, particularly, is Tim himself likes to save his power-ups to the end. He said before on camera in some advice that he's given, he did some fast tracks, tempo run racing. He said, legs first and then power-ups. So he's got a 5-second gap up to Sebastian. He's got this descent. He knows that Allison or Sebastian could easily make a mistake and crash. So right now he's taking the benefit there, 288 watts, 45 kph. What he's doing, he knows how to ride this course. He knows when to take recovery. Here he's up out of the saddle, 900 equalized watts here. He's punching it on the climb. He took a little soft pedal down, used the momentum of the track so he wouldn't exceed. I mean, why accelerate when you're just only going to have to brake? But put the digs in on the inclines. And he's still got 6 seconds here. But Allison on the front, 189 on her heart rate. Tim, you see Peter here on screen, also trying to get back to Homer there, a little bit stretched out here. So we've got Allison in the front, Sebastian, then Tim Fulford, Homer, Peter, Quinton. They're all a little bit stretched out. It does look like we've got Quinton, Timothy, and maybe Ryan can get up to Timothy and Quinton, get a little bit organized here. 3.5 kilometers to go. It's brutal. Whatever number of race laps we have here on Summit Island, it always feels like one too many. And when Summit Island is the last of a 4-race omnium, it feels like 2 laps too many. So we'll get some feedback from these racers to see how they feel. Here we are on with the sarcastic pink sloth. Ben Choulian here, who is focused, trying to get that gap down. He's sitting just a couple seconds back from Homer. If he can make connection with Homer, his former teammate, maybe the two of them can work together to chase down Tim. Homer, a strong rider. Homer now team cognition. So I'm not sure he's going to be up for helping anybody, but maybe keeping Quentin back. And so Homer up the road a little bit. You can see Quentin here sees Homer up the way. Homer is not, again, Homer pops the inertia, 45 kph. Quentin has to respond because he's only doing 33, so he's going to open up that gap a little bit more and make it harder for Quentin to close it down. Quentin puts his head down and just starts drilling it because he knows at this part of the course, he's on the incline. He just needs to dig. He's not at risk of crashing. He just needed a combination power up here on the frontier. You can see there with Sebastian, he used his inertia and weight lifted together, 1-2 punch there, or it might have been a razor's edge combination, but he did have 2 power-ups there, cutting through the wind, going faster here. Sebastian on the front here, Allison a little bit back. So it does look like Sebastian with 2.4 kilometers to go is going to be able to make it. He comes across the finish banner here. Again, that finish banner is like 11% grade. Here comes Allison right behind him. Tim up out of the saddle, making that final climb, using the weight lifted power up, trying to close down the gap to Allison. 5 seconds to go to Allison. He can see her avatar, but what ends up happening when you get across the top, he's got to be careful. He's got to keep the power down and so that Allison can't get away. It does look like Allison dropped the power back a little bit when she got to the top because she spent it, and that allows Tim to overtake her. On board here with Peter. Peter overtakes Chris Pritchard. You can see he's got his teammate there, Ryan, on the right. If Peter and Ryan can maybe get organized here and work together to try to maybe take some points off from Homer. They're only 10 seconds back from Homer with 1.8 kilometers to go. But back on board here with Ben, the sarcastic pink sloth. I'm going to make that stick, at least for today. Up, final lap. That's all. That's your baby, Ben. That hill. Nice work. Comes to the inside lane, coming down. The last lap for Ben Choulian on the course that he designed, has the redecoration here. Back on board here with Tim Fulford on the hunt, who has overtaken Allison, and Allison does have 176 on the equalized heart rate. So she does, her physiological costs a little bit less, but trying to stay on board with Tim to not let him get away. But Sebastian is the headline here. He's 20 seconds up from Tim, 1.2 kilometers to go. Right now, Tim is just trying to demoralize Allison to say, no, I'm going to try to just make you hurt, make you suffer so that you won't even try to overtake me on the climb. And as I said, he uses legs first and then his power-ups. So we do know that Allison did use an inertia. Tim does have a couple power-ups in play. So right now the balance is shifting in Tim's favor to Tim hold that lead here. Tim is not backing down, 1,000 equalized watts, 189 on his heart rate here, completely trying to just, put the hurt down on Allison to say, you are not going to catch me, and I'm not even going to need my power-ups until the very end. So Allison knows that she's got to dig. The chicane can be tricky on speed here. Allison's chasing down Tim, but the cognition rider, Sebastian, is still at the front here. You can see that that's Allison on the left-hand side, and that's Tim on the right-hand side. It does look like Allison does use her razor's edge, trying to get back to Tim. Sebastian there going to be coming to the line here. I misread that. That's Sebastian on the left-hand side, not Allison. Allison is still trying to connect with Tim, just 3 seconds back. Tim up out of the saddle, 0.3 kilometers to go for Sebastian here on the left side of your screen. He does have 396, 400. He's 199 equalized heart rate. Now, Sebastian streams in often and shows us suffering. He always says he's dead. 199 on the equalized heart rate. He's very much alive and he's in very much suffering, but he never dies. He's like, he will never die. Tim hits the power-ups as expected, hits the inertia. He's currently going 43 kph. Allison at 35, 36. That's enough to just open up that gap a little bit and not let Allison catch. But it does look like Sebastian is going to come across the line, 0.1 kilometers go, the final bend. You can see there on the helicopter view, but Tim is still pushing within 2 seconds to go. Can Tim do it? Tim is going to try to overtake Sebastian. Is it going to? No. Oh, so close. That effort by Tim was Massive. That was so insane. All right, here we are back on board with Quentin. Head down. He can see Homer up the way. Oh, and Peter comes around. Peter's coming around Quentin, making Quentin like he stood still. And that's because Quentin spent so much on dark matter spire. Peter has a little bit left. And also, Homer comes around. He does drop the power, but it's a little bit too late. And then Peter comes across the gate. But what Quentin might, he's giving it a push. He's going to give him a run. Go, Peter. Go, Quentin. Who's it going to be at the line? And it does look like on the helicopter view that Peter does overtake Quentin, and he made that stick there. So that was a valiant effort there. Ben then also comes across the line. Oh, what an omnium. We are about 5 minutes left to our next omnium, but Tim takes the overall win today in Zone K, and Jesper comes across the line here. Jesper racing back after a break because we tie him to the microphone. Jennifer here doing the last little bit here of the chicane, coming up the final climb, drops the inertia, takes a little bit of a break. This is one of the most brutal courses in terms of the terrain, in terms of the finish on a super steep climb. So Jennifer there is going to use her power-ups, finish strong. And I'm not sure if she's going to be racing the next Omnium. Thumbs up, thumbs down, I don't know. But man, oh man, here's the replay. Tim up out of the saddle here, does pop his inertia. That seals the deal to give him enough break for Allison. Allison stayed within 5 seconds to him that whole last lap, last half of that last third lap. He puts that on. Once he sees that inertia start to expire, it starts to fade out. He puts the dig back on the legs. He can see Sebastian up the way on the helicopter view here. We do see him closing it down there. Sebastian in the front, followed by Tim. Closed it down to within, I think, 2 seconds at the end. But if he had just a little bit more road, he would have been able to do it. Man, that was massive. And then Ben also comes across the line. Tim, you almost had Sebastian.
Almost. It's yeah, that's the word for it. Awesome racing from Sebastian because I went all in there. So I knew if I had about 20 seconds at about 42 k's an hour up that final one, I might be able to get him. But because I stopped pedaling because of inertia, ironically the inertia in my kicker was really heavy to get it going again after those 10 seconds. So yeah, great race. Couldn't give much more on that one, but let's have another Omnium.
Yeah, that effort on that was massive. That was a big gap to cover, lots of ground. Congratulations, that was just brutal. Let's check in quickly with Quentin as we move in. Quentin, also a big winner there on the race. Quentin, are you going to be racing in the next Omnium?
I won't be doing the whole Omnium. I'm just going to do, I think, the first 2 races, and then I'll be done.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on a great day out on course there. Always strong. In the end there, the dark matter spire cost you a little bit on Summit Island, but it is cruel and unusual. Don't you think, Summit Island at the last race of the Omnium?
It is, definitely is.
All right. Good luck to you. We are starting Zone T in just about 3 minutes here. Our racers are warming up on course. You just saw 1 hour of racing in Zone K. Four races within the Omnium. A low skill to a high skill, high power course. We have Aqua Velo here that we're warming up on. We had Barnyard Velo, which was Crashapalooza, which is a high skill course. But here we are looking at the replay on Summit Island. Ben, are you going to be racing the next Omnium here? That was a massive effort.
Double.
Oh, I think that he is in team chat. We will leave him alone there. We do not want to, but this is the finish on Tim. This was the headline. 3-lap Summit Island. After some fierce racing, he almost catches Sebastian. Ben comes around to also finish this race. The designer of this track influenced the redo of it, the redecoration, some really smart plays of the power-ups in the beginning by Sebastian to get that break off the front. He and Allison made a wise attack attack, made this rest of the teams respond. Peter, massive effort at the end there, overtaking the cycling hub rider. You can see that Chris was moving around a little bit. He navigates around that, makes connection with Ryan and comes around here. And that's the move there that Tim was talking about here, where he popped the inertia, gave his legs about 10 seconds of rest. You can see him soft pedaling. But when he comes out of that inertia, he's still on a 10, 11, 8. I don't know exactly where he was, but like somewhere between an 8 and 11% climb, where he has to get those legs moving again. And as he said, if he had just a little bit more time, he would have been able to maybe overtake Sebastian, who had a strong leap out the front with his teammate Allison. Their team cognition in the chat. It does say, Modi says, nice Homer. Modi Pokelny, his fellow team cognition rider, cheering out to Homer. Tay Fearless says, wow. Modi was impressed with that finish. So thanks for joining us in the chat. You're watching CVRcade World Cup Racing. We have just 1 minute to go before we go to Zone L Racing on Aquavelo, and we do it all over again. So I am on the mic. Welcome if you're just joining the broadcast. I'm Beth York, in for Jesper. Jesper was racing in the previous Omnium. I think he might be sitting this one out, and maybe he'll rejoin the broadcast. Or maybe he'll just eat a hot fudge sundae, kick his feet up for once in his life, and take a half hour to himself and enjoy the racing. Jesper, are you going to do that? You going to eat?
Start with a shower, then devour everything that's in the fridge. Once the fridge is over, we'll look into the freezer, maybe the cupboard. Might still be some peeps left, but Beth, that's fun. That's so much fun.
So I think you're going to be a regular. Yeah. You got to be doing this regularly, right?
You're going to be doing this to me regularly. As long as Summit Islands is everyone's blue moon, sure. Because the third lap up, you're like, I'm dead. I'm dead.
And dead in a real way, not in the Sebastian Kuhn way. All right, go get a shower, get a sandwich, get a hot fudge sundae. Up out of the gate here, Tim Fulford putting in the hurt, a back-to-back Omnium for this racer. That is no surprise. That is how Mr. Fulford rolls. Checks his phone there, says, who's texting me? Okay, got it. Yep. All right, see you in an hour. I'd love to have those beers with you later. Making plans for the night. The man of the hour, Cycling Hub, Tim Fulford. Got Ben, Allison, Thomas Tibling, Quinton, Peter, Vibeke in this race, already with the comeback kid there. Must have lost connection there or trying to come around. Woo, comes through there. Vibeke used her comeback kid so that she wouldn't lose that connection. Now she's at the front. Homer also using that comeback kid. You can see in the nearby riders list, those animations light up the screen. Uncrashable. Comeback kid is the power up, but the abilities are uncrashable. Corner caper and quantum shift. So these racers go fast. There are 10 laps on Aquavelo, and it will come down to who times the sprint, how they play it, and how they, when they go. If teammates can work together, they can coordinate. We've seen different racers execute different strategies where they'll maybe get one racer to be able to break away from the pack, opening up the gap a little bit, allowing one of the other riders to use the comeback kit. Because remember, comeback kid gives you extra power for like 45 seconds, but it only gives you extra power if there's a gap between you and the rider in front of you. As soon as you close that gap and pass that rider in front of you, the comeback kid is nullified. So when you're tight in a pack and you're in this quantum shift ability, phasing through other riders, quantum shift is useless to you. Quantum shift is only good for you to close down a gap. You can see down the way Quinton is using his, trying to come back there. I'm just reading it off the list there. But Tim, up out of the saddle, 800 equalized watts, just a little punch there. Sometimes what will happen, the dynamics, the physics of this is that you'll add a little, you'll fade to the front, you'll take on the wind, you'll soften up. And if you soften up too much, you'll drift to the back and you can get spit off the back. So this is a race that the skill is staying within that draft. The skill is maximizing that draft, and the skill is timing on the sprint. Vibeke in the front, the team velocity rider, Tim Fulford, Allison Kubota, Thomas Tibbling, Quinton Molinese. I'm trying to make sure if there are other riders that are coming into Zone L that I am welcoming you and making sure that you are having fun in the game here. Let's go, Ben. Jennifer Garcia says, so Ben, you've got your teammate rooting for you. We've got, let's see here, Jennifer talking about those fancy shoes. I think they're giving her all kinds of extra power. So thank you for joining us in the broadcast here. 0.7 kilometers to go on Aqua Velo. This 10 laps with uncrashable, corner caper, quantum shift with one comeback kid. We did see a number of comeback kids being activated in the front. That power coming out of the gate was so massive. That speed differential was so massive. These guys are all blobbed together, just kind of trading positions. 0.4 kilometers to go. And who is going to have it in the end? Oh, okay. My screen just flipped for a second there. My bad. 0.2 kilometers to go. Vibeke is on the front, 880 kilowatts. Peter right behind her. They're two velocity riders side by side. Peter and Vibeke. Can they hold it? Tim coming up behind. 0.1 kilometers to go. And it does look like it's Peter, then Tim, then Ben. Oh, it does look like Peter takes the top there, but it does look like Vibeke flew back to fourth position. So we've got Peter, Tim, Ben in third, and Vibeke in fourth. So that, and then Quinton in fifth. So Vibeke on the front for a very long time, probably in team chat with her teammate Peter there. You can see there on the replay, Ben up out of the saddle here. He does end up taking third on that race. Tim in second there. Those two racers just coming off of top finishes in the previous zone. These guys, this is incredible. Their legs are just taking a beating, and they just keep coming back for more. That is not the phase. This is physical esports. These riders are turning themselves inside out, putting the power on the pedals to make sure that they can stay in that blob, in that group, and then time the sprint. So now we move on to Dark Matter Spire. One of the things here, you can see the leaderboard there. Peter on top, Tim in second, Ben in third. You can see that this race in the last Omnium did get split up a little bit. So we've got 2 times multiplier, 1 quantum shift, 1 uncrashable, 2 weight lifted, and 2 wind at your back. There's also wind out on course. So let's check in here with Peter. Peter, on the top of the leaderboard, newly minted velocity. The ink is dry. You're on the roster. Peter, how are you feeling today coming into your second Omnium of the day? Oh, I think we lost Peter. He must be out of the broadcast. That's okay. Tim Fulford, you are live on air with me now, so I'm going to ask you to order your pizza after. Get caught up on your Twitter feed. Are you racing the whole Omnium? Are you just doing this all over again?
Yeah, probably. See how I feel after Barnyard, because Summit definitely hurts. But I was just actually ordering whatever Peter was on in that last one, because he went from like a lap and a half out, and I thought, oh yeah, he'll come back, and then he didn't. So we'll see what happens here. If I get away, I'll get away. If not, I'll sit in and just, I won't ride the box, I don't think, because I think people will push it up the hill, but it's got some wind in there. You don't want to do what Quinton did and sign your life away on the first lap. So see what happens. Race 6 now. All good training. Cramp hasn't started yet. But I think, like Jesper, I'll be consuming the fridge after this.
All right. Well, you've certainly earned consuming the fridge. Good luck to you. I'm not sure if Ben is still in broadcast. He's sitting in third place on his second Omnium here with 3:36 to go. Hey, Ben. Oh, it looks like he might be. Don't bring his mic up. He's probably talking with his teammates. Ben, are you talking to the teammates? You're trying to talk to me. Yep, he's talking to his teammates. We don't want to interrupt him. We are coming into race 2. What you're seeing here are these racers. There's Homer. Homer, high wave. Say hi to your screaming fans, your legions of screaming fans. Homer might not be hearing me from the broadcast right now. The Cognition rider here, former CCC rider. I know that the chat is going to absolutely go insane once we see Homer on screen. We see his suffering. We see his work. Timothy Tremont also. Hey, Timothy, pink sarcastic sloth, is that all right?
Close enough. Yeah, for now. Let's go with that.
Or sarcastic pink sloth, yeah. So
Whatever floats your
second
boat.
Omnium. Okay, second Omnium. I see that you were
Yeah.
in chat with Ben. What are you guys strategizing? Can you share anything?
Well, we don't really want to do what we did last time. That was embarrassing to say the least. But yeah, we learned. So let's not do that again, and we'll see. I missed the start of this first race, so I'll be on team duties the whole Omnium here.
All right, so that's a really good strategy. Not what you did last time. I think that's going to really throw off your competition. Very specific. Thank you very much. We did see in the earlier here with Jesper in this race, came out of the gate hot, what not to do, but he did have the right approach here. I applaud that, which is make other people respond. He just happened to come too hot into the corner. His reaction is priceless. I think we all now have one of those reactions where we cover our face. The smile, like even when you wipe out, that is just too fun to happen here in this race. It did. Jennifer also in the beginning also had her crash, but two different teams both trying to get the jump on the cycling hub maneuver here. Coming into the Omni, you can see the scoreboard here. Peter, Tim, and Ben, Vibeke in fourth here. 1:25 to go. One quantum shift, one uncrashable, two weightlifted, two wind at your back. So with this climb, Vibeka's on screen. Vibeke, welcome to the broadcast.
Hi, Beth. Thanks. Had some technical issues here.
Oh, please go sort them. 1 minute to go.
Yeah, no, they're all right now. It was only my streaming laptop that had issues, so I'm right up back on.
Well, good luck to you. We've got Peter now on the Velocity team. The two of you guys in communications, able to get something going maybe in this Omnium.
Oh yeah, well, let's see what we can do.
All right. Well, may your legs be as fast as your new internet speed. That's all I've got to say. I thought I was doing the humble brag and posting how fast my speed was, and then Vibeke says, "Boom! You think that's fast?" Good luck, Vibeke. I'm rooting for you as I always do. All right, Team Velocity in the pen here with the new team rider, Peter. Also, we've got the sarcastic pink sloths. 10 seconds to go here. Everyone goes to the gate here, and we will see who brings it out of the gate. We did see early on crash on that first lap, on that first corner here coming in. Ben in his second Omnium on the front of the pack here, but Quinton comes through, quantum shift for the first 10 seconds, puts himself on the front. Peter makes connection with Ben, and it's Allison, Quinton, Ben, and Peter. Tim also just a second back here. That's all going to come back together. Timothy Termont said his strategy is to race this one different than he raced in the previous zone. So let's see what Ben and Timothy do in this race here. Jennifer, they had Jennifer Garcia in the earlier race. They were chatting it up, talking strategy. You can see Ben's smile right there, talking to his teammates. All of these racers have in-game audio channels that they can chat with each other and talk about strategy. So when you see their lips moving, they're not trying to just talk to me. They're talking to each other. They're talking about strategy, and they're trying to coordinate their efforts. But right now, Peter on the front, 520 equalized watts here. He is putting a massive effort. Tim is matching it. Vibeke is matching it. Ben is matching it. All of these riders are saying, okay, this is where a gap can open. I cannot get dropped on this first climb or it is game over. And in fact, we are doing 5 laps on Dark Matter Spire. I can't get dropped on any of these climbs. And what we saw in the earlier zone was, whoa, Vibeke goes down. Oh, that's a bummer, Vibeke. But side by side, there, Tim's giving the little wave. She is back on, so she just needs to put a little bit of a dig. I don't know if it was a lane change. That happens. Sprint and grab those bots and see what you can do. Ben up out of the saddle here. making sure he does not lose connection with his teammate Timothy. So we've got two riders in the front that are teammates, Ben and Timothy. We've got Tim Fulford, Quinton, just a few seconds back from this. We have Ryan and Peter, who are also teammates in this front pack. So Tim finds himself, Tim and Quinton's a little bit further back, but Tim finds himself 2 or 3 seconds pushing up a little bit of a gap here. Peter just 3 or 4 seconds back, trying to close that down to Tim Fulford here. Tim had been waving goodbye to Vibeke, side by side with Vibeke here. Vibeke, if anyone can make up that gap, it's Vibeke, and she's only got like 7 seconds to go. So she's 7 seconds to make up that gap. So with 10.1 kilometers to go, she has a really good chance of getting back to the front and connecting with her teammates that are already there in Ryan and Peter. So Tim, Ben, Peter, Quinton, all together here. Vibeke, Homer also in that front group. But right now, side by side with Vibeke and Tim on the screen here, you can see what's going on. Tim on the front, where he likes to be, where he's comfortable being, where he puts himself when he can, and then lets everybody sort of sort it and chase it out. Like he is just would rather have people behind him, but they are closing that gap down. One glance at the phone, the seconds go from 2 down to none in terms of the gap. Welcome, Channel 1, to the broadcast. You're watching CVRcade Racing. We are happy to have you in here. Our riders are on the second Omnium in Zone L. We just finished up Zone K racing. This is Zone L racing, the second race in the Omnium. And man, these guys are heating it up. Tim Fulford currently in the front, Peter in second, Ryan in third for the Omnium. And that really reflects the racing here. 9.3 kilometers to go on this fantastical track. We have got Quantum Shift available. We have one Uncrashable as a super that's available. We have 2 weight lifted and 2 wind at your back. These racers are riding physically. You can see Timothy Termont, the sarcastic pink sloth, here up out of the saddle. You can see Tim drops a power up that he uses wind at his back, which gives him a push from behind here to let him accelerate faster. He's trying to put an attack on Ryan here, up out of the saddle, over almost 400, 500 equals 600 equalized watts, putting the dig down on the climb. Peter answers with his own wind at his back, but it's Quinton that comes around. Oh my gosh, with the Quantum Shift flying through at 50 kph like a slingshot through Timothy. That power up allows him not to get hung up. Quantum Shift allows you to phase through the other riders, and he just came through like a lightning bolt here. But my goodness, Tim and Peter and all together in the front here. Tim on the front, Peter just a little bit behind. Now, Peter here, 203 on his heart rate. He is turning himself inside out. So right now, the game, he has not done this high of a heart rate in the game. And that means that the physiological cost of him doing this is massive. These guys on their bikes. Oh my gosh, it's insane. Ben Shuley on the second Omnium of the day. He's already been racing for an hour. Oh, Channel 1, thank you for joining us. You have come at such a key time here on Dark Matter Spire. 897 viewers. Thank you for watching CVRcade. If you like what you're seeing, this is physical esports. These racers are riding their bikes. You can see Timothy on the left-hand side, Tim Fulford on the right-hand side, former teammates now on opposing teams, both trying to lay it down and have something to prove here. Now, these are just the run-up races. We just paid out $25,000. Yes, 25 with 3 zeros. We just paid that out to the racers in the last World Cup season, and we are gearing up for another World Cup season. And it's going to be team racing, and the rosters are changing. Timothy Termont, headline, drops the bomb, leaves Team Cycling Club, the #1 team on the platform. Timothy says, I'm going to go my own way, and he's teamed up with Ben Choulian, one of the other riders here. So in the front, Tim Fulford by 3 seconds, Peter 3 seconds back, then Quinton, Timothy, and Ben. And again, Timothy Termont and Ben, 2 teammates there in the pink avatar on the yellow bike there. Timothy in the other, you can see those 2 racers side by side, teammates trying to get to work together, want to just kind of go around the other riders. They don't want to get locked up with Quinton. They don't want to get locked up with Peter. They want to work together, call their own shots here. But what ends up happening is Quinton steps behind him and tries to take the draft. Here they are coming around. 7.1 kilometers to go here on this Dark Matter Spire. There are a number of themes in CVRcade. This is one of the fantasy themes, the Dark Matter themes. We have Dark Matter Velo. We have Dark Matter Spire. It's just a high-tech, fantastic fantasy course. We have mountain bike courses and we have road bike courses. If you'd like to join in the racing, you can do so by downloading the game at CVRcade.com. You can play it on your keyboard. You can play it. It's coming to Xbox soon. Not yet, but it's coming to Xbox. We are looking for beta testers for Xbox. So if that's something that interests you, you can do it. But these riders are on smart trainers. What that means is the smart trainers are reading the resistance of the road. The road turns up in the game. They feel the pressure, just like if they were outside on the road. The resistance on their bike changes. They come up out of the saddle. You can see on when we go back to, you'll see on the mini map that they're currently climbing a hill. Tim up out of the saddle, 537 equalized watts, 39 kph, 179 on the heart rate. And not letting go is Timothy, Ben, and Quinton. Peter still also in that mix, but Ben on the left-hand side, the sarcastic pink flat, but then Timothy, you can see he puts his head down. He sees, this is the helicopter view. He sees the rider just about 5 or 6 bike lengths, just 3 seconds, and he knows this is the time. He can't let Tim Fulford get away. They're just coming to the top. They're cresting. They don't want to. Yes, he's nodding his head. He's like, no, I do not want him to get away. Hammer, hammer, hammer away. And Tim Fulford is putting the hurt, not backing down. 478 equalized watts. Timothy, 38 kph. Sorry, Tim, 38 kph. But Ben comes around and says, okay, man, my turn. I'll give you a little bit of a help. Hop on my wheel if you can, and I will pull you. So right now, these riders can choose their lanes. They can choose their position. So they're on the overhead cam. You can see they're all in a line. So the person on the front is taking on the wind. So Ben Chulion, who's on camera, is taking the wind. Just like if you're driving down the street and you're sticking your hand out the window and you feel the wind on your hand, these riders moving through the virtual space are creating wind. And the people behind them are drafting. So here we are on board with Homer Thompson on the chase, just 3 seconds back from Quinton and Peter. So Homer Thompson, one of our all-star favorites here, he gets lots of love in the chat. He has a million screaming fans. I'm going to go back here and read. It looked like earlier I missed a FOG Fog 7. Go Timothy and Ben, go. Tay Fearless was in our earlier broadcast. But if you like what you're seeing, yeah, to Jennifer saying, don't let him go. Yes, Timothy. She's rooting for you, your teammate. Hang on, Timothy. You've got a lot of love in there. CVR World Cup, the mod says, Homer. So here we go. All right, guys, on board here with Tim Fulford and Ben Chulion. Did I mention they've already done an hour racing? I'm telling you, these guys are insane. So right now, we have Tim in the front, Ben trying to chase him down here. Timothy, 2 seconds. And it looks like, as I look at the nearby riders list, it does look like Peter is dropping a power up, holding on to Ben's wheel. But it's Timothy, Ben, and Peter. And Homer is a little bit further back there. But Tim is taking the show, but he's making these guys work here. 4.5 kilometers to go, up out of the saddle, 900 equalized watts, pushing. Timothy is trying to close that gap. Homer, yes, Homer. That's right. Thanks for reminding me. Homer and his wife do join on my Rise and Rip rides on Mondays and Fridays at 5:35 a.m. PST, and that's 8:35 Eastern time. But you can find out all about those rides on the CVRcade Riders Facebook page. You can like and follow us there. But you can also, if you like what you're seeing here in the broadcast, follow us, join along, enjoy the racing. We rebroadcast every Tuesday, every Thursday. Ooh, the screen is lighting up here. Weight lifted power up, wind at your back. Everyone is digging. gosh, Timothy doesn't want to be caught flat-footed, but it does. It's Tim and Ben, and Timothy now plays his power-ups here. But the speed differential for Tim Fulford, 53 kph, 600 equalized watts. He does punch away, but Ben does not let him get away. He's within 2 seconds of that, and Timothy is also right there. That was some massive pushing there. We know that Tim Fulford only uses those power-ups when absolutely necessary. He tried to do that to try to seal the deal on this second to last lap on Dark Matter Spire. Timothy now using his Ben on the hunt. He can see just up the road there, side by side. Racer number 1 is on the right-hand side and racer number 2 on the left-hand side. Ben is chasing down Tim, and it does look like he's made, he's going to make that connection. Timothy and Ben come together. Timothy activates his quantum shift, phases through Ben, and Ben and Timothy can now work together to try to pull their way back. That was a massive amount of teamwork there to get those guys back. Ben was pulling on the front and had those 1, 2, 3 punch on the climb with the power-ups, but now it is Tim, Timothy, and Ben. Timothy used his weightlifted power-up, then he quantum shift through Ben and putting himself. Now this is a different racer. Timothy Termont in the earlier Omnium, just dominated on Barnyard Velo. He said he was going to bring something different into this race than he did last race, but I feel like he's bringing a different Timothy to the racing itself here. We're seeing him do some different things that maybe we didn't see him do in the previous iteration of the World Cup. And that is a really interesting thing to see. I also know that I'm watching his fitness and the way that he's racing go up. He's taking more chances, attacking, being at the front, and he is his own man here, the sarcastic pink sloth. But Tim is settling back in. He's letting his heart rate come down a little bit. He's trying to control the pace. He's doing a self-assessment there. He knows what he has. This is his second Omnium of the day. Same thing with Timothy, Ben, and Peter here. Peter does look like he got dropped back off of that front group when Ben and Timothy made the chase. He wasn't able to hang on when all of those attacks were flying here. But right now, Timothy and Tim on the front, trading blows, 2.2 kilometers to go. Everybody's heart rates are coming down a little bit, and just ever so slightly, because they know it's going to come down to some move. Is it going to happen on the climb? Is that where we're going to see the fireworks? Is it going to come down to a sprint? Anything can happen. 2 kilometers to go. Right now on the leaderboard, Tim sitting in first place, bouncing around a little bit with second and third here. It depends on the finishing positions. Too early to call. And we'll see. Oh, uncrashable. That I think might have been a mistake by Timothy there. But wait, he wanted to do a different power up. Oh, wait a second, Ben. Boom! Wait a minute. I miscalled that. He's going to have to tell me what happened there. I thought he made a mistake, but that might have been intentional. Ben off the front. Timothy didn't move. Tim Fulford needing to chase. Ben Chilion, 600 equalized watts. The attack is coming on the climb here, is what we're saying. And we are seeing Ben make a move. 1.4 kilometers to go. Gets a 6-second lead on Tim Fulford, who was looking pretty comfortable, starting to get a little comfortable. And Ben said, I'm not going to wait for Tim's attack. I'm going to take the initiative. I'm going to make him respond to me. And this is exactly what needs to happen to Cycling Hub Racing, because usually people are reacting to Cycling Hub, but right now it is Ben setting the pace. It is the sarcastic pink sloth who is saying, I am going to make you work. 1 kilometer to go. Maybe Tim is not even going to answer, because Tim says, you know what? It's a long Omnium. I'm not going to waste any effort here. I know Summit Island is coming, but Ben cannot relax with 0.8 kilometers to go. He needs to keep pushing it to the end. He's got 10 seconds now. It does look like Tim is not, but we don't know what power-ups he has up his sleeve. You can make up that speed pretty quick. So if I were Ben, I'd be watching not only my speed, but I'd be watching Tim Fulford's speed to make sure I'm not caught flat-footed on these final corners with 0.5 kilometers to go, because Tim has all the maths in his head. He knows exactly what he needs to do to make up time. But I think right now, all Tim wants to do is take that second place. You know, Timothy isn't going to catch him, so he's going to just maintain that second place position. Looks like he's holding that lower equalized watts, trying to just say, all right, I'm going to carry what I can to the next race. Ben has settled down just a little bit with 0.3 kilometers to go on that final couple bends here. He said, I'm going to use my uncrashable and then come up out of the saddle, finish strong, uses the combination. Says, I'm going to put the final dig on because I'm just going to come across the line. I'm going to take those points. And he takes those points and he puts himself, look at that smile, Ben. Yeah, man. Yeah. Celebration move there. That was a massive attack. And then Tim's going to come across the line here, set the pace, pushed these racers the whole entire time, really made them work. And in the end, it was Ben who put the move down and Tim did not answer. So I think he's waging, Tim was waging a bet there about what he wants to do, what he's going to be saving over the long game. Homer comes across the line, some power-ups there. Timothy is going to come across the line as well. So nice racing there. Well done, team. Sarcastic Pink Sloth, Ben Choulion on the one. Ben, I don't know if you're in your team chat, but talk me through that. Are you able to hear me? Oh, I think he's in team chat. He's not listening to me. But what says, congratulations, Ben. Yes, Ben. Augie12333. Tay Fearless says, nice, Ben. Nightmare235 double X looks like so much fun. You are right. Krusty Tortilla. Oh my gosh, I love that. That's exciting. Oh my gosh. Channel 1, thank you so much for joining us. Krusty Tortilla, this is so cool. Well done, Ben. Well done, Timothy, says Jennifer Garcia. I'm telling you, you guys are amazing here. Tim, put the pressure on. Tim, are you available for an interview here? I wasn't able to connect with Ben.
Yeah, I'm here.
So it looked like on that final lap, Ben just gave a little dig.
Yeah, I mean, Timothy's left cycling hub, but he's kept his own ways. Negative riding as always. Always good to see when your teammate doesn't have a heart rate monitor and therefore his result won't count. But you're more than happy to block the guy that sat in the front the whole way. So love the racing. Super confident about that one. Just did 350 watts for 16 minutes. So they let the wrong guy go up the road. And then they decided to just play negative, which I'm fine with. Timothy hasn't got the endurance to stay with me anyway. So have to go to Barnyard now and see what happens.
Well, I am looking in the chat and I am, it does look like oi, and it does look like spicy, says Modi. So this is getting spicy. There's some fighting words in very gentleman-like way there, Mr. Fulford. I love it. This is where it's going to get so spicy. Good luck to you on Barnyard. You did have a few crashes. What did you learn in the last Omnium?
Yeah, I crashed once just after the first 10-second quantum shift ran out. And Timothy just got a lap ahead, so just consolidated for, I think, second place last time around. But we've got Summit Island after this, and if I'm in with a shot of winning, I'll probably have to go all out 3 laps again. But all good training, and I'm sure there'll be some negative racing somewhere along the line.
All right, Tim. Well, congratulations on that effort. You completely pushed the limits there. Peter was also there in that group. Peter, are you available for an interview? Nope, I guess maybe Peter is not. That's okay. I'm sorry. I think maybe he dropped out of the broadcast in this one. But coming into Barnyard Velo, we have got 5 laps. We have got 12 laps with 2 quantum shifts. This is our high skill event. If you missed the last Omnium, there is Timothy Tremont. Timothy, you took this one handily. This is kind of your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I like this track. It's a bit more sudden lane change than Dark Matter Velo, but it's still quite technical. But I believe Ben is ready for an interview as well, Beth. Sorry about that earlier.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. I'm going to come back to you because I want to hear your reaction to Tim Fulford. Hey, Ben, congratulations on that last race.
Thank you very much.
So,
yeah, my reaction to Tim, well, there was 2 of us, And we just thought, well, 2 against 1. Should we try and push the advantage? So it was a bit dirty, I know, but it's nothing that Team Cycling Hub haven't done in the past. So all is fair in love and war. So I'm pleased with that.
Yes.
But I think I'm probably going to pay the price in the last 2 races because I'm tired.
One is tired, but congratulations on that race coming into Barnyard Velo. Did you learn anything here? I mean, like that effort was massive, so less power but more technical. Did you learn anything from the last Omnium?
A little bit. I think the main thing I learned was that lap drivers are ghosts, so you can ride straight through them, which was a bit of a revelation today. But clearly, it's one of those tracks where you want to get ahead of the bunch early, So hopefully, power through at the start and try and get a good spot for the lanes and get a clean run.
Gotcha. Yep. Well, listen, good luck to you in this next race. You turned yourself inside out. We also, it was wonderful to see you come across the line. As far as all of this negative racing, some folks have always been at the front and haven't always ever experienced that. That's not to say it doesn't feel weird, but all is fair in love and war. We have 2 more races. We'll see how that shakes out. Vibeke, I'm going to come to you at the next race because 1, 2, 3 riders, and then we've got, does look like 4, 5, and 6 are all pretty close in terms of point wise. So this is a high skill event. Finishing high placement in this skill might result in sort of a shakeup and move some riders around. So all racers across the Omnium have the opportunity with the points multipliers to move up in the race. So with 10 seconds to go, we have got why can't I be both? I am going to check back into the chat in just a moment. 3, 2, 1, on board with Timothy. Out of the gate they come. Timothy, who knows how to race this course. He kind of wrote the race on how to how to write this, how to race these technical courses. Get out in front early and mark your lane. Make sure that others are responding to you and you're not responding to them. But we have Quinton on the front of this race. We have Ben and we have Tim Fulford. So Quinton, Ben, Timothy, Allison up there as well here. Allison, the team cognition rider. She did have Sebastian in there with her earlier, but right now she is alone. It does look like Ben has gone down. Timothy puts a little bit of a dig, but he's got Quinton. Ben has to come back up to speed, getting passed by a few racers there out on track. But Timothy, the sarcastic pink sloth, chasing down his former teammate, Timothy facing down his former teammate Quinton. We saw him chasing down Tim Fulford in the earlier, but Tim also right there in the mix, just a couple seconds back. One mistake by any of these riders and it's going to upset the apple cart here. But with the way that the points are distributed, and if Tim finishes in 3rd, it's going to put him on top of the leaderboard and it's going to throw Ben down to 3rd here. So a little bit of a shakeup in the standings here because this is such a high multiplier track. So all throughout the course of the Omnium, each of the tracks, each of the races have a different points multiplier depending on the how technical they are, what abilities are available, how hard, how long the race is. And hey, Lancel, is that Queen Beth announcing? Oh, hello, my court has arrived. River of Tears, Crucial Ball says my 3-year-old nephew is a better sport. Yes, Beth, yes, race. Jesper did race in the first one, so I am on the mic for Jesper in this Omnium. I'll also be back later tonight, depending on what part of the world you are, for Zone T, which is 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time. So happy to be here. Jesper had a good time in the race. Here we are on board with Vibeke, who is moving her way up here to 4th place in this race, just about 5 seconds back from Allison, who is about 5 seconds back from Quinton. So these racers here, that does Vibeke still in this race here between, does look like the points are pretty close for 4, 5, and 6. So, whoa, we do see Quinton go down. Opportunity for Timothy. There's Timothy giving a little wave saying goodbye, Quinton. And that does change things a little bit in the front here. And here you can see Allison taking, moving up to second in this track, puts her second in the Omnium. So as I was saying, coming into this race, this is kind of a decider. This is a race. Ooh, nice move there. This is kind of a decider here. Allison taking a lot of points in the zone. It's not a high power course. It's a high skill course. So one of the things that, you know, she's marking here is saying, okay, I need to be steady. I need to not make a mistake here. I need to be sure that I am minding my lane. I'm staying in position, getting as many points as I can. Tim, quantum shifts through the riders, doesn't want to take any chances, trying to come back here to try to get back some points from Allison. Putting the pressure on 0.3 kilometers to go, does overtake Ryan. So Timothy in the front, Allison a little bit further back. Timothy Tremont just has to stay steady. He has to watch the bots. He has to watch the hay bales. He has to just not crash. But even if he did with 0.1 kilometers to go, he's got 20 seconds here to be in front here. So Timothy is going to come across the line first. Allison is going to be second. Allison is going to come across the line second. She's got one more lap to go, I think, and then it will be Tim. So this is a very, very short track. Tim is going to come across the line, it looks like, after Allison. So that's one more lap there for Tim. So with this lap on Vibeke coming around here, also it's a few seconds back on the course here, but we do have Timothy, Ryan, all coming across the line. Ryan crashed right before the end of the race. So at the end of this race here, Ben did have an earlier crash, did set him back on the leaderboard, but it does look like if he finishes in this position, he still is going to be in second place for the night, uses that power up. So, and then here we are on board with Homer Thompson. He's currently a little bit further down on the leaderboard coming into Zone L Racing. Sometimes he does both Omniums. This man like rides millions of miles. I forget, 100,000 miles. You'll have to correct me on your total mileage, Homer, but rides all day long. Vibeke, looking focused, coming in strong, and then she sees the crash. The hay bale just gets her here on the replay. You can see here the power-ups that are being used. Timothy was able to take that front spot, the spot where he's comfortable on these technical courses. And Timothy, how does that feel, taking that race?
In the end, it was very close because I'm pretty sure I didn't lap the field because it was just a timing thing. Because it happened last Omnium as well on that track, so there might be something. Yeah, it's tricky. Yep. So it was like just a bike length at the end, but all was calculated there. Allison got back, but I still got it. It's a bit weird racing because you don't know how far they are behind you, but yeah, you can see them in the rearview mirror, and yeah, good race. I like the track. I really like it.
Well, that's 2 for 2. I mean, I was watching and it looked like there was like a larger gap between you guys, but I knew I could see Allison moving up the leaderboard. So that was really a little bit of a mind bender. How is that like, just out of curiosity, how is that like with the ghosted riders? Are you keeping track of who you're lapping? How are you, how's your mind handling that?
Well, because I was up front the whole time with Tim, I like knew everybody we were catching were lap riders. So the first Omnium, it was like, because we didn't really know it, that it was like lap riders were ghosted. So we were doing like moves, dodging riders left, right, and center. And we were so surprised that we could do it. Like, how did I do that? Whoa, I'm a beast. And then, yeah, it turns out they're all ghosted.
That's hysterical. All right, so coming into this race, Timothy, you're in fourth. Tim's in first. I didn't give you an opportunity to respond here to some spicy comments by your former teammate. You know, the drama, the intrigue. Any response? I like to give equal time to equal competitors here.
No, not really a response. I mean, we had the numbers. I think Cycling Hub's not really used to that, so. Yeah, they better get used to it because we're going to keep bringing it. And we just played the numbers, you know. Ben had the legs, he had the power up, so I knew I had to do my job as a teammate, got in front. I didn't really brake check, so I just slowed it down a bit, let him pass. Nothing too massive there.
Gotcha. Well, that is as fair and a diplomatic answer as I could imagine. You're a very smart. You're a very smart man. Both of you are with your gentlemanly responses. But Tim, I could tell Tim was trying to heat it up a little bit. Let's check in with Ben here. Ben, coming back to Summit Island here. I don't know if Ben's available. Ben, now you've already raced this course once here. You're sitting in second. It's shaping up to be Tim versus Ben here for 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's it's going to be a tall order to beat Tim. Especially the last race. This race is brutal. We'll see what happens. I'll give it my best shot. But silly mistake on the previous track. But there was so much traffic. I don't know the track very well, and I just missed the hay bale. That was that really. So. This is gonna hurt. This is really gonna hurt. I don't know which sadist designed this track. It's crazy.
I do. His name is Ben. Wait, your name is Ben. Wait. Well, good luck to you, Ben. Just about 90 seconds to go. I'll let you get your breath back. But to the man sitting in the top spot, Tim Fulford. Tim, any thoughts before we go into Summit Island?
I think the scoreboard's wrong. And I think this is going to hurt a lot. I look forward to Timothy bringing it, but I'd rather he did it in a positive way rather than a negative one. But that's just my opinion. This is going to hurt a lot.
All right. Well, just over a minute to go. Good luck to you, Tim. Good luck to you, Ben. Good luck, Allison, Timothy, Ryan, Quinton, Vibeke. Did I miss anyone? Homer? Good luck to all of the racers here. This is the 4th and final race of the Omnium of Zone L. This is Summit Island. It is 3 grueling laps. Vibeke, little wave. I don't want you to try to talk right before this. Little wave. Good luck to you. I saw you have that one unfortunate crash on Barnyard. That happens. That's just a new track. You know what? This is all run-up racing. I know what you're going to bring. So we have Summit Island redo. This has been redecorated. It was designed by Ben when we first sort of had the track builder out there. We didn't have all the same decorations that we have now. He worked with one of the artists at CVR to do this redecoration. And even he said it just races a little differently because the visual cues out on track are a little bit different. But they are in the pen with 5 seconds to go, 3 laps, 1 inertia, 2 razor's edge, 2 weightlifted, and out of the gate. Tim Fulford up out of the gate, digging in. Ben, Timothy off the front, Allison right behind, and Tim Fulford right there in their draft saying, that's fine. I'm just going to suck your wheel here. He's not a wheel sucker. Tim Fulford does not like to suck wheels, but right now he knows the corner's coming. This is not the time to be trying to overtake the front riders. You can sit in going down that hill, long as you don't lose connection with those riders on that descent, and you watch that corner speed, and then that's where it starts to get interesting here. You can see here on board with Vibeke, you can see the sort of all of the mass of people just jockeying for a position, and they do have in this race, this is a high skill event. Nigel there drops his inertia. I'm not sure if that was a mistake or if he's just trying to hang on to the wheel and thought he was going to get dropped there, but Nigel and Vibeke getting organized with Ben Choulian and Timothy Tremont there in the front. So these 4 riders in the front, it does look like Tim's fading back a little bit by a second, but one thing that we know about Tim is that he's very strong, and as strong as he is, he's also very strong-willed. Some might be called stubborn, but we call that determination as well. I'm a Taurus, so I can say that I've been called determined. I've also been called stubborn and other kinds of names. But it is a internal grit. It is a fortitude. It is meant as a complement of your mental toughness and your physical toughness, that to match your physical toughness. Easy for me to say. Ben here out on the front there, you can see the scoreboard dropping down. Ben, if they finish in this position, Ben will take the Omnium. And Timothy will be duking it out for second and third. Oh man, this is gonna be so good. Woo! It's gonna be, CVRcade Riders is gonna be lit up. Oh my goodness, this is amazing here. A little bit of a power up by Nigel coming up here, and Timothy coming, holding onto the wheel of Ben, but Nigel and Vibeke coming around Ben, trying to overtake, but Tim Fulford says, guys, remember this name, remember the number one, remember Cycling Hub. You don't have a short-term memory. Do not forget who I am. Do not forget the competitor that you were racing against. Yeah, sure, I raced an earlier Omnium, and I'm sure he'll give us all of the stats of what his watts were, and then go eat the fridge, like he said. But out of the saddle, Vibeke says, yeah, eat the fridge, eat my dust here. Up out of the saddle, you can see her going off the front here, putting a little bit of attack here on getting a second or two on Tim. Now, she did not race the earlier Omnium, so maybe some fresher legs. What we know about Vibeke is that her skills are coming up, but her power has never been denied. She is a former mountain bike rider, racer. This is the course that she loves. She loves the steep climb. She loves the punchy hills. This is her wheelhouse. This is what she likes to do, and she's showing what she's made of, and this is going to push her up into third place. So if she can take this race, now that's one lap down, 2 to go. If she can maintain that position and keep the rubber side down, she has a chance to bring herself up to the podium after having been down, I think, as far as 6th or 7th on the night tonight. Side by side there with Tim Fulford saying, wait, I just left Ben and Homer and Nigel. I thought that was going to be my competition here. Meanwhile, Vibeke sneaks around Tim, gets around him, and says, "Okay, you can just be messing around with your ex-teammates and talking, getting spicy, but I am just going to push it." But listen, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, that is not anything to get comfortable with. Not when Tim Fulford is on your heels. Tim and I have taken it. We've duked it out on this track before. So Tim knows how to race this track. He knows how to use his legs. He knows how to save it. And he has made that connection with Vibeke. So now things are going to get really dangerous on the front of the race here. Further on down, we've got Nigel, Ben, and Homer almost 15 seconds back here on the racing. So I'm not sure they're going to be able to, unless Vibeke and Tim both make a mistake and trying to get that gap back. I don't think that those racers are going to close that gap, but they will be duking it out because there are 3 different teams in that chase pack. Ben, the sarcastic pink Panther on the front of it, followed by Nigel, the velocity rider, and Homer, the team cognition rider. Also in that pack is Timothy. So we'll see if Timothy and Ben can get organized and bring it up to second, to bring it up for third here, if Vibeke and Tim. But Tim here coming on the inside, Vibeke also on the inside. This is where Vibeke has to be careful because Tim is going to try to pin her in the corner to slide out into him. So she needs to watch the not overlap wheels and slide out, because Cycling Hub, beyond being strong, beyond knowing the tactics, they also know the physics of the game. They know how to basically throw riders up against the ring. So when Tim talks about teams playing dirty, I don't know what really classifies as dirty is what classifies as a tactic, because when you're smart enough to race and know the physics, you can make it look like the other rider doesn't know the course, but it's every bit as much of a gameplay tactic as slowing down in the chase group, which is really Cycling Hub's wheelhouse. So it'll be interesting to see here. There's always lots of debate in the chat about what constitutes what are the modes of play, what are we establishing here. So anyway, here let's see, I'm going to go back to the chat here while Vibeke is pushing it on the front. Tim on her heels. It does say I want one of these bikes so bad. You do, you need to get one. I need to lose Oh, you need to lose weight, 340. Listen, don't even worry. This the beauty, just get on your bike and start pedaling, okay? And you know, we have racers in here of all dimensions, and that is why equalization is so amazing, is because we can all race and ride together here. Let's see here. Not too fond of the change. I'm not sure, Crucible, what you mean of the change here. You can tell me in the chat here. Vibeke DK Mansuni says Vibeke is a pure powerhouse. Go Vibeke. Let's see, Lancer Storm, but I'd want to experience all the features of the game, talking about not having a bike. Taurus, my guess would be Scorpio. Interesting. Okay, yeah, no, Taurus all the way. Earth sign. Vibeke power up over the clop of the hill there, and puts a little bit of a dig there. It comes over and still in the front there. But Ben on the chase, just about 3 seconds back from Tim. So this is the headline here. He can look up the road. Look at what you see there on screen. Right now, Ben is absolutely turning himself inside out, 192 on his heart rate. But Tim is also on the ropes, 198 on the heart rate there. And here's on board with Homer a little bit further down. Tim comes around Vibeke, though, using the razor's edge to accelerate here. Oh my goodness, Vibeke the lioness is what Lancer Storm is saying here. Yes, I would say we'll call her, we'll just say she's a Leo because she's the lioness. She is dropping her razor's edge. She's going to be mindful of those corner speeds. I know she's been studying the maps. I know she's been paying attention. I know she's so dialed in with 1.5 kilometers to go. She is confident on this track. She knows where she needs to be. She's not going to let Tim put her up against the ropes. Tim 194. You know, if she gets to that climb, she knows what power-ups that Tim has used. She is counting the cards like any good player who's playing poker or any other game of strategy. She is kind of counting her position right now. But Ben is on the move. He's just 3 seconds back from Tim. Tim puts on a little bit of a dig. This is his move here. He's going to try to hold her against the rope, come around, and tries to make her slide out. But she does not take the bait. This is this is something that doesn't translate on the screen because if you haven't raced it, you don't know what it feels like to think you're safe in a corner and then just slide out and overlap wheels and completely dig it. Now, this is one of those corners where you're on the climb. Inertia, is it too much speed going into the corner? Is she going to slide? No. One more. Is she? Whoa, I kind of saw that coming, Vibeke. I was like, no, inertia. No, I don't know. Oh, that's tough. Go. Tim does force a mistake out of Vibeke, but Ben, it opens the door for Ben. Vibeke is back up on the she's just got about 4 seconds now. If she can, with 0.5 kilometers to go, it looks like Tim using his power up, his weight lifted power up, 1,000 equalized watts, saying, "This is what I do. Do you remember my name?" 47 kph, pops his inertia, kind of seals the deal with 47 kph because Vibeke does not have the power-ups maybe to get to that speed. 600 equalized watts, 31 kph. What a move by Tim, forcing that mistake. If he can't get her to slide out in the corner, he caught her over eager using that power-up. Inertia, running into the corner, not being able to slow down. Path of least resistance. Tim does come across the line. He's going to have some happy words to share on that in a very monotone, controlled British way, and he is going to make Vibeke work. Vibeke takes second. It wasn't enough to put her onto the podium, but Ben is still out there finishing. If he finishes in front of Allison, he holds that second position here, and then Allison will be second. DK Mansuni says, "Congratulations, Tim," with a thumbs up. Krusty Tortilla gives you the double thumb sign. Homer here coming up across the line on the final lap here. Well done to Homer. Nigel just behind them here. And my goodness, that was quite a race there on the front between Tim and Vibeke. I thought it was going to come down to a fight between Ben, but Tim, that was a massive effort. Talk me through that.
Yeah, I feel a bit bad for Vibeke, really. If Ben wasn't so close, I would have probably sat up and let her have it, because she must have worked so hard. Because I've just been in the red for like 10 minutes. So I think from what I could see, she was going too fast to turn in. I think she would have been all right on the line she was on. So fantastic race. I kind of knew I had Ben when he used his inertia on the second lap, because I knew from the Seb race I could get about 20 seconds from that. Super tough race. Summer Island, the graphics have definitely changed it. Corners look different. For instance, on the long last climb, you can't see it as well because there are rocks in the way, and that kind of helps. It makes you break it up a bit, but you might be able to hear that I'm suffering a little bit.
Isn't that nice for me to just come immediately to you? You know, this is part of your training, Tim, is to talk to me when you're still just coming out of the red zone.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. Awesome racing. I'm going to check in with Vibeke. Vibeke, so hard, that effort. Oh, man. So just the inertia, right? That was just, you just couldn't slow down.
No, I hit it too early. Forgot about a few corners. I really thought I had them this time. It was so great. Finally have a chance to be in the front and to fight Tim. That was awesome. Thank you for the fight. I really enjoyed it. I really thought I had him this time, but nope. Rookie mistake again. I'm getting there.
I really wouldn't call it a rookie mistake. As Tim said, you really had a great opportunity there. He thought you had the right line. But as we are saying, with the redecoration, it just does make it a little bit different. Did you notice that? You know, I was coming down the climbs, down the hills.
I noticed the decorations, and they are awesome. But actually, I think the corners look the same. I don't know what I've been looking at and what the others have, but to me, it looks the same. Well, yeah. I still have the same feel for the corners. I was just tired.
Yeah, no, but that's great though. I think that like what it is that the visual cues of when the turns get tighter, I think is what folks were saying. But here we are seeing it on screen here, side by side. You slide through the first corner. I think you came back in a couple lanes knowing you're going to slide again, but just couldn't keep the rubber side down. But that was a fun fight to watch on Summit Island redo. So you know you have the legs, Vibeke. You know you have the skill. It's coming. So great work out on course. Let's check in with Ben. Ben, before we wrap it up for the day here. Hi, are you on with me or are you with your teammate?
I am. No, I can hear you loud and clear.
Fantastic. Well, Tim said he knew he had you on that when you popped your inertia on the second race. Talk me through, I mean, your second omnium of the day on that second lap. Were you just feeling it at that point and said, I need that 10 seconds?
Not particularly. I just thought I've never done the inertia power up. I've never done that combination on that corner, and I thought I'd give it a go. When I've won on this track, it's not often, but when I've won on this track, I've sort of got a lead quite early on and just managed to maintain it. So that would have been nice, but you know, Tim's just so strong. You know, whether it's the first race or the last race of the day, he's always super strong, so you know, fair play. So deserved victory for Tim, but I think yeah, generally, you know, Timothy, Jennifer, and I raced well as a team today. You know, we did some good teamwork, some good tactics. Apart from that horrendous crash at the beginning of Dark Matter Spire, but yeah, it's been good fun.
Well, congratulations, Ben. Back-to-back omniums, taking second on this omnium here. We're watching the replays. We will see you on Saturday. I hope we're watching the replays here where Jesper did come into the racing. It's why I'm on the mic. He said he was going to take the initiative on Dark Matter Spire, did the power-up combination, just overpowered that first corner, had a lot of fun, laughing at the circumstance. that is CVRcade racing if I've ever seen it. Having a good time. Jennifer also trying to put the moves on, and she also had an early crash on Dark Matter Spire. This is the Zone K racing that you are watching right here. Dark Matter Spire, 5 laps on this course today. It was a slugfest between the racers trying to catch up with Quinton, who took an early lead and absolutely turned himself inside out. Then there was a couple attacks, a combination by Tim Fulford that allowed him to get away on Dark Matter Spire from that chase pack. He was kind of, back and forth with Ben and in the chase pack, and then he just made his break. Decided that he had enough of the playing around. He might have been controlling the pace a little bit, but on Dark Matter Spire in Zone K, it was all Quinton Milanese all the way. He had that early lead, 10-second gap, and at the end, he just put his head down and he finished that race strong, finished the Omnium strong, proving again the Cycling Hub dominance here in Zone K in the second race of the Omnium. So we had, after Dark Matter Spire, Quinton takes that race, a little bit of a celebration here. We ended up going to Barnyard Velo here, which was just an absolute chaos, mayhem, with people sort of missing the hay bales, quantum shifting through. It was one of the first times, or maybe the first or second time we've raced on Barnyard Velo. The dynamics are different. People are learning the tracks, some crashes, some laughs and crashes all over the place, someone's in front of you, you don't see the hay bales, so you have to anticipate them coming. Power Up Quantum Shift allows you to phase through the riders, but as we heard Tim Fulford say, Quantum Shift allows you to phase through the riders, but not through hay bales. That's uncrashable. Uncrashable lets you fly through the obstacles, but not of Quantum Shift. So on Barnyard Velo here, as expected on this Omnium K and the following Omnium, was Timothy Tremont being able to take the day on those races on the technical course and picking up lots of points on the high skill. And as you know, with CVRcade racing, each of the races in the Omnium, there are 4, vary in skill, and they also vary in difficulty in terms of duration, and they all finished up today on Summit Island Redo. Summit Island Redo is the track that Ben Choulian designed early on using Track Builder. It's been in heavy race rotation and it has a whole new look. Now the road is the same. It's got the same incline at the end, that same brutal climb up to 10 or 11%. But with the Power Up combination, we saw Sebastian destroy Team Cognition in Zone K, came out in force there. You could see Chris trying to put the block on Peter on that replay right there. But it was Tim Fulford and Sebastian. Tim made up, I don't know, like a 15-second gap, something crazy that Tim did on this track, and came within just 1 or 2 seconds from overtaking Sebastian, that held the lead nearly the whole time. And if you just watch what Tim did on Summit Islands in the second time and see that he did this in the first time, that is just a testament to how strong that man is, how much racing. 2 hours, strong finishes on Summit Island, and then we went ahead and we did it all over again here. Ben versus Tim in Aqua Velo in Zone L. That's what you're looking at right now here. And again, this was the no skill event, the one-time multiplier. And we saw Tim and Ben up out of the saddle, digging in here. Peter Vibeke, 1-2. Vibeke was on the front for quite some time. And I think it was Peter. Yes, it was Peter that took that race. But then we brought it into Dark Matter Spire, and we had a lot of repeat racers between the zones. And Timothy Tremont said that he was going to do something a little different on Dark Matter Spire, and we did see a little bit more teamwork out of the sarcastic pink sloth rider on Dark Matter Spire. We did also see Vibeke, who was in Zone L but not in Zone K, come out with fresh legs, racing strong on this course. Always so much fun to watch Vibeke on screen. Super strong racer. And then we had just an absolute explosion. And you can see me, I'm holding on my head there with the speed in which Quinton came through some racers. Timothy Tremont racing like a new racer here. Homer also in the pen. Big smile from Homer. But Timothy and Ben on the combination power-ups, where they had just just made that lap. Timothy had a firework of power-ups, disruption all over the place, and what ended up happening was Tim Fulford puts on that massive attack at the end of the race on the final lap. But Ben said, I know I'm not going to wait for Tim to make the move. I'm going to make the move. I'm going to take this race. So that really set up the tone in Zone L, where everyone's always waiting for maybe the cycling hub person to make the move. And Ben, on that last climb of Dark Matter Spire, said, I'm going to take the initiative, and that paid off for him. Then we moved back onto Barnyard Velo. A little bit calmer at the start, but not for Timothy Tremont, because Timothy Tremont put in the dig, found himself in the right lane immediately. And the thing with with Barnyard Velo compared to Dark Matter Velo is that you have the straightaways to sprint on Dark Matter Velo. On Barnyard, you have a really short entry. You cross the banner and you go into a corner immediately, and you can see the hay bales here on the overhead camera and how they can snag a rider here. There's really no place where you can just open up the lane and just open up and go. You do need to know what lane you want to be in before you get to it. And the person who is the best at that is Timothy Tremont. In both Omniums, dominated here, working again with Tim, did end up taking all of the points on that. And then again, finished up after some spicy exchange from the former Cycling Hub, from the current Cycling Hub member to the former Cycling Hub member, which was very fun. You'll have to watch the whole broadcast if you want to hear the play-by-play of that. But in the end, both of them friendly competitors, and chalking a little bit of a smack for each other, a little bit of spice, always spices up the drama in the racing. And it came down to Summit Island here. Earlier crash by Ben opened up the door. Vibeke saw the opportunity, held the front race, held Tim off, and in the end, it was a mistake using the inertia. She had too much speed when she popped. It was in the lane, slid out, allowed Tim to come by, but brilliant racing. She was smart the whole way. She didn't get caught up against the corners. I think a lot of learning for these racers. When you are put at the front of the race and you're going up against a Tim Fulford, you learn quickly what you need to do. And we talked a little bit about what the team can do to, the Cycling Hub knows how to put a rider in a position to make a mistake. And, Tim Fulford here in this case thought that Vibeke did such a great job that he was thinking she might overtake him at the end. But at the end, it was Tim Fulford who took that in the Omnium, followed by Ben Choulion. And that was the racing today. Whew, I don't know how Jesper does these back-to-back 2 hours. I mean, it's almost as exhausting talking for 2 hours. I'm just kidding. It's different. It's a different type of exhausting than it is to be racing for 2 hours. I think Tim would tell me that it's a lot easier doing this than what he just did. And I think that I would agree. But thank you for sticking with us here on CVRcade Racing. I'll be back again tonight in Zone T, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time. I have to be careful when I say that. Thank you all for joining in the chat here. Tay Fearless, Krusty Tortilla, DK Mansuni, Crucial Bowl, Tay Fearless, Lancel Storm. I don't want to miss anybody. I want to say thank you all for joining. I'm not a Scorpio, Taurus. Write it down. Birthday's coming up soon. 25. Can't believe it. Gosh, where does the time go? Thank you for watching us on CVRcade. Like and follow us. Follow us on all of the socials, and we will see you in Zone T later tonight.
But no, Beth, yours goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she has unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marvels. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.